Welcome to the Authentic Action Podcast, brought to you by Gal Media, Fun Fast Productions, and the Authentic Action School online. I'm your host, Angel Lilly, and I'm here to explore diverse perspectives on living a good life. I hope to inspire, educate, and motivate you to take more positive action in your own life and help inspire you to design and live a unique life that you love. In this podcast, I will be interviewing and conversing with outstanding artists, musicians, authors, activists, poets, performers, visionaries, builders, leaders, healers, and seekers who are deliberately designing lives that they love. Together, we can expand our personal and collective awareness and compassion by sharing our stories, dreams, and perspectives, and learning about so many things we have in common, and more about those things which make us unique. Today's episode is a recording of a heartfelt conversation with another fellow artist and visionary, and her friendly neighbor, another interesting artist who happened to be visiting. I've had the pleasure of working with today's guests on a couple of short occasions, creating hair and head decorations using recycled and natural found items. She is a well-known, innovative designer, visionary artist, and stimulating entertainer, and an action-oriented, multi-talented facilitator. This woman is admired by many and matched by none when it comes to getting things done, connecting people with the right other people, and enjoying her life wholeheartedly with humor and full-on sense of playfulness all the while. In this interview, you will also hear from her friend and neighbor, transgender activist and sexual awareness teacher, the multi-talented performing artist and non-binary model, Julian Wolf. So without further delay, let's hear from the hostess with the most herself. She's proudly and keenly naughty and nice, and inspiringly passionate about creating a better future for herself and for everyone around her. I'm happy to introduce you to the lovely and fierce Felicia Davis. You're into tons of awesome stuff, and I thought I'd ask you what your favorite or top thing that you're into is right now.
Oh my gosh, my top thing. Guess that definitely changes depending on the hour of the day, right? There's so many top things, I guess. Like, I'm really excited about doing the tiny houses.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, just, I've been a tool build, you know, I've used tools for making props and things, but I've never used tools all day, every day to build like one massive project. So that's been really fun for me to have the experience of doing that.
Cool. And are you like working formally as an employee there? And
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so I work for Live Lab, which is right here in Albuquerque, and you know, it's a small team. It was just mostly Christopher Blaze, and then he partnered with Steve Miller from, let's see, Tinyology was the name of Steve's little business, and those two kind of got in cahoots, and Steve's more of the architect, and then kind of Erin, Blaze's wife, was really supporting him and helping him to decide that they were going to actively start a business. And so they did, and they did it for about 2 years with not real employees, occasional hirings, but it was in August that they officially decided to start hiring people, and it was myself and Nate and Eric and now Pepito. So there's 4 of us and Blaze that really do the building portion, and you know, it's not a huge team, but it's going great.
Cool.
You know, I mean, my ultimate goal is just to learn more about the building of houses, because I've never put in the plumbing, put in the insulation, done the framing, done the drywall, you know, drywall taped, mud, paint, the whole 9, electrical, learning how to install all that, and really seeing it as the full picture, I think will be great for me. Just because of course, I'm an artist, that means I've lived most of my life poor. And so, something about, like, when you're getting older and your kid is, you know, I'm like, I just don't see myself, like, going back to school to become a dental hygienist or something. So what would a career path be for me? I could really see me, like, flipping a house, you know, once a year, and just having the income to just mainly travel a teeny bit, or, you know, just feel like I'm doing something fun with the older years of my life, you know. Ideally that would be travel. And when I do that, I want it to be in kind of like a tiny house the Tipsy Gypsy caravan. So, you know, being able to build that would be something I want to know how to do.
Cool. So,
and you, of course, know everything about that because you're an awesome little builder yourself.
I wouldn't say everything. No, not at all.
But I mean, you definitely have been like self-teaching to learn to build, and it's a really
There's
fun.
nothing like just getting in there and doing it.
Yeah,
and you learn. Yeah,
getting after it. It's fun.
So, and the tiny. I also did it. I mean, it wasn't a tiny home exactly, but the small, doing something smaller that allows you to see the completion of it in a shorter time.
Yeah.
And then I imagine working with a team. I didn't really get to do that, but.
Yeah, we don't have like, you know, when you see houses being built that are huge, they're like going up and you're all of a sudden like, wow, that thing just got built. Wow, you know, and it takes us a while. Some of us are parents, right? So we have this time constraint of going to work after we take our kids to school and being done with work when we pick them up, which a 5-hour day when you have to pull tools out, gather materials sometimes, and then put tools away is not always a very long day. You know, we do have some longer day pushes, you know, especially if we're doing stuff not at Live Lab, but out on the site. And it's like, if we're going to drive all the way out to the site, let's have as many of us present as possible and put in as many hours as we can. So, you know, it's like that. Luckily, we're doing a little spot right here, which is great for me because I'm really close to my house versus outside of town. But it's an ass kicker of a project, which is why I'm sitting on a heating pad right now because my back is destroyed. Yay, life.
What is it?
Well, we're not really sure yet. These big investors have gotten it. We're really trying to get them. Let me turn the ringer off on that because it will be disruptive. So they're hoping to, you know, affordable housing is ideal. That's what they're probably going to do with it. We're really wanting them to kind of put in a tiny house community. So that's kind of a goal, you know. Whenever you're working with a big investor and it's not your own project or just this one person who's you're making a tiny house for, you always wonder, like, will you turn out to still be awesome a year from now? Will that project be the things that we thought it would be? So we're doing the clean out now, but knowing, you know, at any point in time, are we going to continue to put effort in on this project, knowing that at some point they could just decide that they want to go totally corporate with this and put a gas station here or a brewery or something crazy. Yeah. So, you know, we're ginger with it. We do take on lots of side projects just to pay our wages as employees there, you know, so that we can afford to be building tiny houses. But you have to kind of, just like anything, like I'm primarily an artist, you don't want to take on too many things that are off your actual path and off your actual goal and task. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. You know. And of course, always with the photography, right, I'm way, like, currently right now is the most downtime I have had in what feels like an eternity because Thanksgiving just happened, and right directly after that I had a weekend that didn't have shows or shoots. And just feeling what it feels like to have a weekend where you're just, you know, kind of actually enjoying your home environment and being present there. It's really good, you know. So I'm glad, and I've not scheduled shows or shoots for like the month because it just feels like the right thing to do. This thing is intrusive to say the least.
No, for real.
Can you take that? Yeah. Just not in here. Sure. Thank you. Because it's a beast. But so yeah, the shoots are always. I mean, so I have like just this like my network of what it is. What are you doing with that? Like it's like a map, right? And so I'm kind of working on an Alice in Wonderland book, which I have been for years. And I feel like that's a long-term project for me.
I can see that.
And I have been working on a project that is heaven versus hell. And it's kind of, the war between that, but also just, in our own being, the dark versus the light, and how you're weighing every choice and how you speak and all the things that you do, and whether they're kind or unkind, and just all that stuff that we feel like are completely battling with constantly. So that's a huge theme for me, and that's a long-term project. I really want to try to get a show in Scotland and take it to Berlin with the heaven and hell stuff. So I just need to pursue that by making some really great wings. So I'm hoping to have kind of December and January off so that I can make larger scale items and really take my time on it. When you're like working a full-time job and then you're doing shoots or shows every weekend and you have to prepare for them, you're not always having what would be an 8-week preparation, like wings versus these wings, so what can you do? I have lots of cool stuff and I'm really fast at making, so I fall back on that when it comes down to it. But so the heaven and hell, we also just started what is a tarot deck that I'm wanting to do with my sometimes bandmate and awesome co-artist friend Scarletta, who does Art Nueva, which is, you really should look her up. She'd be great at doing the podcast. So she does so much. She's a clothing designer. She makes these wicked headpieces. She did photo shoots, and then she edited those photos, and then she printed them, and then she painted on them, and then she framed them with these wicked frames that she painted, and then added bones and beads and all sorts of crazy stuff to them. I mean, she's endlessly psychotically creative. And I love the effects that she did on some of those pieces. So I said, hey, do you want to join up and do a tarot deck?
Nice.
And so that's a long-term project, But then I just like to do some fun things in between to stretch my legs. Models always reach out and want to work with me. And so it's really great to say, okay, let's do some stuff. And photographers, so that's the thing. I don't do the photographs myself. I actually am a photographer. And gosh, I did wedding photography for a little while, but I picked up a camera to take pictures of the tiny houses about 2 weeks ago and realized that I hadn't pulled my Nikon out in forever, and I just don't really shoot anymore. Because there's so many great photographers in New Mexico that are so amazing. And just like if you were gonna hire a muralist, nobody's gonna paint the mural the same way this person or this person would. Everyone has their style. It's the same with photography. Everyone has their style of lighting and the way they shoot and things. Come on, we're done. Go on, outside. And so, it's so cool to have access to exactly what you're looking for. I want this model wearing this. I want it to be a really editorial look. I want it outside. I want this kind of lighting. I know who to call for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's really nice to have what is like a database of all these options as far as photographers. If I need a studio, if I want gel lighting, if I want someone who's going to do a composite. So a composite's like, if I took a picture of Julian sitting there in the chair, and then I actually wanted Julian sitting on the top of a cool castle, like a gargoyle. So I would take a picture of the castle and then put Julian sitting up there. That's compositing. So that stuff, I don't do a lot of that because I really like the authenticity of a portrait. And my thing is, like, my number one thing is that I do the tricks. So that in camera, this fantasy thing is really happening in real life.
Right.
Versus the composite. But I do like to work with composite photographers on occasion. It's really fun. I did one with Julian that was a composite where Julian played all 3 characters. So was at the Alice in Wonderland Tea Party and was the Hatter.
Oh, I just saw that, I think.
And Alice.
Really nice.
And the Hare.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. You're being quiet.
I didn't know if I wasn't supposed to be. Yeah, it was really cool. And it was neat to basically get to have 3 of my personas like portrayed on the same thing in to be portrayed in the same image, like in that way, because like Jack D. Nimble's like my bad guy characters, of course that's the Hatter. Gothylocks is my gothic Lolita character, so of course that's Alice, and then me, just as my usual, burlesque is the hair. So that was pretty cool, and I really appreciated that it was her idea, because it also kind of, as a very out genderqueer person, it was also neat to like have really vast representation in one image. And I've been doing Alice in Wonderland stuff for a long time, produced entire shows themed to it. I already had the ears, I already had the hat. Those are all our props, so it's kind of a personal. It felt like a really personal shoot because everything on there is either hers or mine.
Yeah, and we wanted to pick things that would give some personal flavor of Julian to the experience, Cool. The main reason why I wanted you to participate in it was because you are trans and very actively male and female, and having those 2 character types with also a lot of I am now also being both of those people and really embodying the whole they experience, which of course it's taken me, as well as now having Julian as my neighbor, I see the struggle you go through with getting people to get the whole use the word they. It's really not that hard, but it took me some time, and it takes a lot of people. And so when I do the book, what I want is that the story of Julian's experience of what it means to be a they, to be part of it, because I want the book to not only just be the story of Alice and the story of all these cool photography tricks, but also some personal stuff about the people that were selected to be in it. I'm going to let my sad little, horribly sad dog in, so that he can dance around
I get to write an intro from the perspective of the White Rabbit, about wandering onto the tea party and realizing that the White Rabbit does not want to be there, and that he doesn't have the time for it, and wandering off. And so that was an exciting thing too, and I haven't completed that yet, but I've got it outlined, so it'll just be a little like in the style of Lewis Carroll, like just as like a wandering into the tea party sort of thing. And I'm excited because the characters I usually play from Alice in Wonderland are are the March Hare, because I'm a March baby. And then the sacred hare is a thing I do in the pagan community, and then I've cosplayed the White Rabbit. So
it's like a natural fit, huh? Sounds like fun too.
Yeah.
Sounds like a blast.
Yeah. So, and Julian and I have actually started working on other projects too. I mean, it's been really fun having someone I could be like right next door. Even today, I said, because Julian goes, oh, the thing I accomplished this year is doing nude modeling, and I'm so thrilled. And I said, it's funny you should mention that. I actually just was looking at this amazing metal trough that was abandoned and looks really cool, and thinking, if only there was someone who I didn't have to get to come all the way across town, but happened to be right available here in the neighborhood for me to convince to get naked and jump in this trough for a photo shoot.
It's been a real journey for me. I've been a sex positivity advocate and a body positivity advocate for as long as I've known that those things existed, and just like been loud and proud about it, and done burlesque without ever actually taking hardly anything off, just like taking stuff off of other people, and just being really prudish, I think is a good word. And it was just internalized crap from my upbringing. Mm-hmm. So like 2018 was the first time I was ever casually nude in public, and it was at a hot springs at a multi-generational retreat, so like nobody cared, and then that just became less of a thing. And then doing actual nude shoots this year, I would have never said yes, but Felicia, who we were not neighbors, we know each other from around for kind of forever, says, I need you to be Lucifer. And I was like, oh, with all of the draping. And then she's like, underwater. And then I'm like, and it's going to be a nude shoot. And I was like, do I have a reason to say no? Please, do I have a reason? No, I didn't. And I was really, I'm terrified of water. And it was a really, really cool experience. And once I figured out how to do it, we got some of the shots that they were looking for. Cool. So I felt proud.
We really did.
Cool, yeah, I've seen a
with that shoot.
I wanted to go.
We actually got some of Julian's close people because there is something awesome about having a little flavor of your own surroundings. Mm-hmm. There was also, of course, models that I was like, no, I'm going to need this epic person to be boom. Like, there's no one else in town that would have that physique, that hair. I need that kind of ingredient in this. So I did seed it with a few models, but like I'm going to be doing one that I've been working on long term of masks. So I'm making plaster face masks of all the really close people in my life so that I can make my foundation out of their faces. And then I'm also doing like Godiva Blue, which is Kayla from Two Stone Betties. And I'm going to do 13 of her close people so that I'm going to make a dress out of the faces. And then I'll shoot her wearing the dress with the faces of the people in her life. So that'll be kind of a fun project. And
awesome.
It is taking a long time because I'm trying to get 108 for mine, which I don't know why that's the number. But, you know, oftentimes when some of the important people are over, I'm like, oh, shoot, I don't have plaster, you know. And sometimes, so it's just, you know,
Sounds
that's what
like
it is.
Quite a project.
Yeah.
to get.
You have a knack for challenging people, like, or to get out of their comfort zones for, like, the cause of art, and I think that's a
Oh, yeah.
task.
So what I didn't realize when I was starting this, and, you know, it was just so cool. I call it now deprivation meditation when I put someone in it, because when you get masked off, this is your whole face, right? Mm-hmm. So if someone seems like they're a real talker, I usually do their eyes first so they can keep chatting away while you do the eyes. Mm-hmm. I've done the whole face, and now I'm on to just the eyes. So by the time I finish those eyes and I'm on to the mouth, it's about 2 minutes of doing the mouth and then taking them out. They really are only actually vaulted in for about 10 to 30 seconds, and they can breathe.
Right.
But that 30 seconds of actually being cut off by having your whole face in a mask, everyone has kind of a, whatever their version of panic is. So it's kind of wild to see how people work through that, you know?
Melody and I are going to react completely differently.
Yeah. I did it to myself, and I stayed in it for 30 minutes just so that I would know and that I'm not potentially endangering or
yes,
traumatizing people.
I thought it was going to be a 30-minute thing when I said yes, because we did that to each other in high school, and nobody was considerate enough to figure out the method to do it where you're only completely sealed for 30 seconds like you do.
Yeah. Yeah, because I do the whole rim on the outside so it's firm by the time, you know, it's all really dried and stiff. So by the time you get to those inner areas, this is all fast drying set, you know.
That makes sense. So you've already.
Yeah. It's fun to challenge, you know.
Sounds fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Look like a supervillain.
So, I guess what else? My other favorite thing that I never do is stand-up comedy. And it's like actually my most recent discovered passion that I love, love, love. It is so great, you know. I mean, I couldn't love it more. I actually am really hoping that during this 2 months of not doing shows and shoots to kind of prioritize that, because I feel great when I do it, you know, and it's just really fun. I'm a monster of a person, so of course I do all the things that you really nowadays aren't allowed to even say. Like, you know, I'm a punk rocker, so saying like fuck off or fuck you is something that is not meant to be mean for me. It's like normal, like fuck it, you know, all that, whatever. And some people can't be, it's like a massive trigger to hear something like that. Like, so anything that is anything nowadays can really set people off. So, you know, I don't know. I might be in a dying profession. I guess it's just another moneyless passion I'm chasing.
We have a collection.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that depends on what you want to make it. But I see how keeping it moneyless for a lot of people, depending on your story about what money means, could keep it feeling more free. I think for a lot of people equate money with bondage or responsibility or ownership or things like that. So, but I don't think it has to be that way. I think
no, it doesn't.
Easily
So,
figure
but
out a
like, so
miraculous,
stand up
amazing
here.
way to be free and get paid really well and have a blast. Like, I got to believe that's
I
true.
do want that. I want to be free and get paid well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I haven't seen you do stand up, but I imagine you're quite good at it. And just when you say I feel good doing it, well, then it's like obviously that's what you should do.
It's really fun. I mean, the ways like people don't realize how much stand up is going on in Albuquerque.
Yeah,
It's like almost every night of the week is some stand up going on.
Like you can always book a
But it's
comedian.
mostly open mics, you know.
yeah. There's some at the open mic that is at the place where we were playing for a while, and I was kind of surprised at how
much
many people were getting up and
and doing
our
it.
10 or 15 minutes.
So the problem is like I'm never on time for anything, and I also am a mom, so sign up is often like right when I'm very busily doing. So I often am kind of the last one, and that means you're sitting through everyone's routine, good, the bad, and the ugly, no doubt. It's going down. It's a lot to take in. And also, you have to perform for other comics, because those are the only people left in the room.
Yeah.
Not just other comics that have seen you every other week. And
Already heard
I
it.
just don't want to hear that one joke fucking again. Thank you, Alejandro. Don't do that joke again. Seriously. So a lot of comics they are practicing the same routine, and they're just doing that set and doing that set. And so you're going to look at them for 6 months, and you never want to hear them do that set again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they're planning to try to perfect that set to take it out on the road.
Type 5, type 7, type 10.
Exactly. But you know what I mean? So, like, you get really tired of being the last comic, but you also definitely, I love that because I'm now performing for just them. And if I can make them laugh, them who are not like anyone else in the room, you would think that comics are the funnest people to perform for because they obviously have humor. They're analyzing your set.
No, I would imagine it would be a challenge, but
Yeah, they're not able to
if you
just
wanna
see it
step
through
up
like
to
the
it.
virgin eyes of an audience member
Yeah.
who's wandering in and like, whoa, this just happened. So if you can make a group of people that's analyzing your set the whole time, laugh and get it on, it's great. I got booked to do a comedy tour and did. It was very exciting. However, it was on the drive down to our first spot in Silver City that the comedian that had me opening for him said, so you're doing like a 40-minute set. And I was like, oh my God, I've been doing 3, 5, and 8-minute sets. Whoa, I've got to come up with a 40-minute set before tonight. And I'm not in a car where no one's talking and I can work on my shit. I'm literally trapped in a vehicle full of jabba-jaws. You know what I'm saying? So I got to Silver City and locked myself in the hotel, and that was it. It was time to dive. And I feel like most of my comedy comes from the most awful things ever that people do to each other. And the things that are just awful, things that we have to go through to get through life, you know? I mean, even if no one's being mean to you, ever, the coffee will spill, the car won't start, the dog will shit the floor, the fucking pipes are having some weird stuff coming out of them all of a sudden. Oh my God, blah, 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 blah. What's that dripping through the ceiling? You know, I mean, everything's happening. Traffic's bad, right? Oh my gosh, they're diverting traffic. Wait, what's going on? Every day, there is things that are trying to go against your forward progress. It happens, you know what I mean? And if you can't laugh about it and just be like, thank you for yet another fuckery.
So I have to say, yeah, I've concluded the best is to see it as an opportunity.
An opportunity.
Practicing gratitude and letting things go and seeing the best in a situation and all that. But yeah. Shit does happen.
Yeah.
And dogs do shit the floor, huh?
Thank you.
You even know which one does it.
This is the one. This dog was our neighbor's dog, and she gave herself to us, and then I kept trying to give her back to them, and they said, no, you have her. So
we
now
don't love her like you love her.
She is loved by me. That's not something I'm super
sweetheart.
happy about, but she's getting better about it, for sure. Little pumpkin.
She's my best friend. No, she's not my best friend, but I really like her.
In the general saying sense.
She's kitty size.
I'm officially doing it. I'm going to drink beer.
I already drank wine, so feel free.
You took my water away.
Sorry. I realized that after I said, you can have it back.
I'm okay right now.
None's for you. None's for you. Just watch us slip away.
Cool. Well, that's a really great handful of favorite things that you're into. It's
Yeah.
exciting. I don't imagine is there, are there things you're not getting to? You know, I mean, you already said some things you want to get more to, like comedy, but are there things you haven't tried yet that are on your list of things you're looking to get
it's
to?
all the things. I mean, one of my favorite things ever to do is play music.
Mm-hmm.
It's like so gratifying, especially for someone like me who's having to put the training wheels back on and then getting to take them off every time I get into it because I've, only ever stuck my toes in some. But it's exciting because, you spend 30 minutes on it and you get a little further along your path. And it's just so fun. It feels really good. We're trying to get a little bit together. I did go on the tour this year, which was my first time playing bass ever and on stage. Nonetheless, that was scary as could be. And,
What
drummed.
tour was that?
Huh?
What tour?
I'm in a Cramps cover band, and we went to England.
I saw your pictures in
In
England, but I
Scotland?
didn't realize you were... Somehow I missed the band that you were with your band.
So normally, what I am is kind of like a wild go-go dancer, and we do luchador wrestling, and we beat the tom drum, and do all these theatrical things to kind of keep the show wow, you know what I mean? And we have our little matching drums and underpants and tambourines and all the things, and machine guns and bikinis, and it's super fun. And I do a little bit of backup vocals, but I actually had to sing a song for that and play bass. And it was a little unnerving, for sure, for me. I mean, I'm really glad that we're taking our bass player next year. I do love the idea of playing bass, but it just was a little too fast to be, learning to do it. And then...
It takes time to get good at it.
Yeah, So hopefully I'll be much better and feeling like mostly what it was is that I knew that everyone else on the stage had been playing music for so long. Mm-hmm. And to honor them by also putting in the time and getting better, felt more appropriate, I guess. Yeah.
Goodness, that was quite the moment.
No one ever loves Eric.
I know, I can see that. It's
I
don't fit in a lap because I'm too big.
Oh, he's in laps.
They're all just they're so needy. I should have done this earlier. I could give them bones, and then they'll be like, "What? We don't even know you people."
This one, did someone say bones?
She's in no love.
That was funny. Yep, she did say bones.
Yeah, babe. Nice. I'm almost done with the thing.
Yeah, so we can wrap this up. I got like 3
More than enough
questions for you.
material?
Yeah, well, and
Yeah.
so I just wanted to ask you 3 hopefully fun questions, which are like if you had a fairy godmother was going to give you 3 wishes, 1 for you personally, 1 for your art community, and 1 for the world at large, what would you? And you had to decide in the next right now.
Oh, I'll start with the world.
Mm-hmm.
I really am not going to say world peace. I actively feel like there's so much corruption on the planet that if I got to walk in and decide how the world was going to change and they were going to implement that starting tomorrow, I would get a lot more regulation going on, and I would have the regulators regulated. So, and that would be on a rotating scale, because I think that it would be really important to have people actually watching out for the planet,
Like
actually
checks and balances
watching
on
out
a
for
global scale.
the little people, and having real voices actually assigned to humans. We are funding like so many jobs for people to be on the phone to tell you no, to make you wait for an hour and a half on hold so that they can make sure that you're being denied what it was that you waited for. And why are we paying for that when we could actually pay none of those people and instead give the people a yes? Okay, cool, we're going to actually give you your insurance claim because we don't have to hire people to tell you no. That's what those insurance companies are paying billions of dollars to do, is make sure you never get it. And that's regulation, but that's regulation that is fucking us. And I'm really tired of regulation going that way. I want regulation to go more toward helping all of us. A friend of mine was talking to me this morning about one of her rich, spoiled buddies who actually is doing something great with his life since he got his dad's company, and he is starting an investment firm that is conscious investments. And it's a huge firm that already existed, but everyone that is now investing their money, it goes along with their morals. And so, because we're making purchases all the time. Like, you buy a piece of paper, and where did that paper come from? How many crimes did you actually commit by making that purchase? And we're purchasing stuff all the time without knowing its origin or caring about like what impact and footprint it makes on the environment. And I would love to see that there is more of an investment firm that actually is like, no, we are going to investigate this and make sure that every product that goes in your store isn't harming the planet or harming humans. And if they start to do that with the money people, it's going to change the game. You know what I mean?
Cool.
So, okay, the next one was for my art community. I would love like a real space. I drive by this abandoned car lot up there by University and Lomas, and it's got these huge, and I'm just going, like there's so many different performers that really need a place that isn't Popejoy or these various theaters to really just go, I want to do a play here. Can I sign up? Because this is a funded space and I don't have to rent this from you. Can I sign up to use the theater if I get on a waiting list and do whatever it is that I want here and invite people? And can I sign up to rehearse in that dance space? And can I sign up to paint in that studio? And like a really large scale community center where people could, none of it would be permanently anyone's. It is all just like you go to the pool hall and you sign up for the next table. You sign up, you know what I mean? And you get that available. And I feel like if we had that kind of space, it would be amazing here in New Mexico. Because we have, as performers, we're using bars a lot. because we don't have a lot of other options.
Yeah.
And how many bars are there that we can legitimately perform in? I mean, musicians have a little more, but as far as like dancers and or plays or theater or anything like that, cabaret, you know, any of that.
I shoved cabarets in really awkward places.
I also would love what would be just like a gallery. Okay, so you get to sign up to have an art show and either have your own show and really know what it's like, because that was such a great learning experience for me, having to challenge myself to get 30 pieces out. Or do you want to be part of a community show and you want to sign up to do that? And we'll do so many of those per year where you get to fit into which one works best for you. I'd love that. I'd love to see in those display windows the artist of the month that we get to feature prominently out there in an area where it is seen. And that's a huge unused space. But I would need a massive donation for it, because we would need to keep the lights on in a huge space and the heat on, and that's costly. Yeah. So even if someone gave us the space,
it needs to be set up in a way that sustains itself.
I mean, what I would actually just like someone to just donate it, because they have to donate money anyway. It's a tax write-off. There's someone that could do it, you know what I mean? And to be honest, there's so much cost that goes into really doing those types of things, besides keeping the bills on and the space. You want to paint? How much do you think paint costs? It ain't cheap. It is horribly expensive. You want canvases? You got to make them. That costs. So anything that you want to do art-wise costs lots of money. You know what I mean? Like, everything. You want to be a boutiquer. You want to do the things. I mean, if you go and look and see,
like a restore, but for artists, where you had an influx of donated materials, organized in a way that then got funneled.
Yeah.
Because you know, materials are sitting in people's garages and sheds, going to waste. You know.
Yeah, but
largely.
Donations for like a nonprofit. It's weird how many of them you can take and then what you can do with them when you've taken them. And now that's space. When we were at one of the philosophies at Q Lab, which is one of the makers spaces that I was involved with here in town, the more we had wood there so that people didn't have to buy wood and they could use the wood, that didn't work. It actually was better to just have the tools and have the space available for people to really work.
I can see that.
But that was because we didn't have lots of that storage. It's one or the other. It's either storage or workspace. Yeah. And it was more about workspace than storage. You know?
When you want some personal investment from people just so that they have more of a respect for the whole thing, I think on some level, if you have everything laid out, you have a whole new set of problems than if you're trying to provide for people who are investing some of their own.
The thing is like, we're either in our own house and need to get out, or we're in a roommate, or we have a lover, or we have a kid. We're always in these spaces with other people, and it's nice sometimes to know either A, you could come to this space to have a social interaction, or the opposite. Here's a space that you can come to have your own space and be alone. It's waiting for you. I feel like there's a lot of people that they don't have that as an option, you know, and it would just be nice to spread your wings.
Yeah.
For sure.
Cubicles would sometimes be all I would need for like 2 hours to finish something, you know?
Yeah.
Like an open one, but like no distraction.
Little 10 by 10 or 10 by 12.
Yeah. And then for other projects.
Absolutely. Like when we think about art, we're not always thinking about the tech world where people just want to be able to go on their computer and do some graphic design stuff or whatever and have that as an option. I mean, there is also Fuse, worth a tour. It's a maker's place here in town that you can pay a membership fee, just like Q Lab. But Q Lab was kind of seeded from just a few dudes who were like, we want to make stuff and let's get our tools together so that people can all have access to tools. And Fuse has massive cash infusions, so it has like the tools. For $80, if you were going to have a month where you were like, I want to make stickers for my business, and I want to make these little CNC printed cool things that I want to embellish my or tile or any of this mosaic or blah, 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 anything you could ever want to make, any shape. I mean, it'll cut full on pieces of wood into the shape that you've created. You can design anything, and just zoom, the machines just do it.
Yeah.
And for your fee, plus you have to bring your materials. Sometimes they have some materials that have been donated, but it's worth it if you're going to crank on it. But I'd love to see a place like Fuse that wasn't charging a membership fee. $80. $80 for half the people I know is what they're struggling to pay their mortgage or struggling to pay their rent or struggling to pay their utilities. That $80 isn't like, oh yeah, I fully have that. Mm-hmm. Some of my friends don't. So I'd love to see them have access to things like that. Mm-hmm. So it'd be great to have just money really going toward art here, because there's a lot of people that are working their little butts off as artists, and there's no money for that. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, we all spend money on our utilities every single month. We all spend money on our rent every month. Groceries, beverages. Mm-hmm. Those are all constant. When was the last time, I mean, if you ask 100 people, how much money did you spend on art last year? Mm-hmm. 100 people at the grocery store. Not 100 of my friends. They are buying each other's shit. Mm-hmm. Right? We're talking about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
They're not. How many of them are going to spend money on musicians this year? Mm-hmm. So what's the deal? I mean, we're all hardworking. It's just that the money balance is off. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you ask me if I'd rather donate money would you rather spend money on dental work or art this year? Art. But I have to spend money on my dentist. I have to. Why? Why am I forced to pay a dentist?
Because they're luxury bones that you don't deserve.
Because they went to school for this. I mean, like, I'm sorry, you know what I mean? Why are they getting so much more for their time than we are? Mm-hmm. I get it, you know what I mean? It's like, great for them, but we don't have that balance. So I would love it for some of the bigger money people to go, hey, let's kind of help out this group that they're actually mostly pretty great and just need a little bit of extra sparkles to keep it going.
Yeah, so back to the sustainability piece, it'd be cool to have like a gift shop attached to that studio.
Absolutely.
Like that,
Absolutely.
You have an outlet to try to, and an interface with the community to somehow get like the art show piece that you mentioned, or ways to get the community to come in and
it means a lot when you sell your first piece. Like, even, it doesn't matter where. I'm an artist too. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's part of why I was excited to move behind Tears, because there's a lot of art happening. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so you'd want to have it, even if it was flat rate or whatever, just because it means so much when somebody sells their first piece.
And it's an experiential thing. The experience of how much did it cost to print that? How much did it cost to build that? How much did it cost? What's the cost? Oh, what's the cost plus the gallery fee sometimes? Yeah. How do I get blah, blah, blah. Oh, if I'm sharing the money that I'm trying to make off of this, I had like a piece for $400. Okay, example. That piece generally would have cost me $160 to make. Mm-hmm. So then 30% of that to go to the gallery. Oh, I want to give the person who helped me make it $50. I get $50. Well, we also spent money to create that art, like just to do the shoe. So it's not until you sell multiples of those that you're actually going, am I making something on this? That sort of thing. So just that experience of learning how to lower your cost.
Lowering cost, but also raising the perceived value to the public, so that they're willing to spend, $400 or $4,000 on a nice piece of art that's going to be hopefully be part of their world.
I had a friend who just did an art show, and then the very next week put some things on sale, and I'm going, that's not okay. If you have valued that at $1,000 and I bought it for $1,000 and the next week you were putting it on sale for $500, that would be totally unfair to me, your customer, who's expecting that this thing has a value of $1,000, which you said last week.
Yeah.
So that's something that also through experience you learn about that. So having a facility that we could all kind of just take it all the way, write the play, learn the acting, get the people, do the show, you know what I mean? Make the dress, do the fashion show. Here's the store that you're going to sell your stuff in. I think it would be super awesome. It would be like almost like a college that didn't necessarily offer classes, a self-learning school, you know? Which, I mean, I do art class at Live Lab. It would be really easy to have classes be offered in this environment, but now we're starting to expand on all of that.
Cool.
We just need that space, and then we could do whatever classes.
You should just think Albuquerque High or that car lot or that car dealership. I love that dealership. I was driving by it the other day and I was like, it would be so amazing to do a show in there.
It's just so big and empty. And what I love is there's like bays. There's just what I see is not a facility where we're all in there, but like this is where this happens. Oh, this is our pottery section, and this is this section, and you know, I would love to see that occur.
Cool.
And of course, don't forget about me. Your third question was about me. I always forget about myself, and I'm low on the totem pole. If I could have a genie give me anything I could ever want, it would be free flights for life for my daughter and I. We never get to travel or do anything awesome. I love being here, but like, you know, I mean, I know that like you compare what life is like for wealthy people versus poor. The main thing is that they get to take their kids places, like all over to see the world. And I would love to pay taking her to see those things. And I know she really wants to go. And I feel like she does see that that's not in our sphere of reality. And, you know, we make it by. Like, we don't ever suffer. We're never, like, without. We do get those bills paid and that food bought and those little, oh, you need a cheerleading outfit or you need a this or I need a that. And we're getting those things. And it's never been stressful like that. But, like, we're not going to Greece this year. And if we could just take a teeny bit of our lives and go, and it's not just us. It's actually almost everyone who's a parent that isn't in the higher income, you know. And I just wish that, you know, we just had a culture in America that allowed for us to have siestas, paid time off, vacation time. Yeah. Utility companies that aren't taking more than they actually need. Stuff that is working for us so that we're not just like a hamster in the wheel, that we have to make that money to pay those bills so that we can do it again next month. You know, I mean, because for someone like me who is working hard and a lot, I'm not really coming ahead ever. You know, I'm just staying from going under.
You have to run as fast as you can just to stand.
Yeah,
still.
and I mean, that doesn't, I mean, I obviously could be investing and doing things differently and purchasing properties and getting ahead in life, you know. But, sorry, I have a joke about getting ahead. I'm not going to do it. But, like, you know, I mean, I think it's not just me. It's almost everyone that is wishing that system would be a little bit more toward an occasional real break. Just a taste. And then we'll go back to being a hamster, slave, whatever, you know, making it all happen. But some vacation. I saw you on your trip. Where did you just go? Tahiti?
Tahiti.
Oh my God.
Bora Bora and Richie.
Just seeing you there made me feel like happy that someone was on a vacation.
Yeah.
Just someone. Someone's out. Someone got out, baby. Someone did it. Yes. One of us made it to the sand where it's pretty.
They don't have it. I don't want to burst your bubble, but there's not a lot of sand. I mean, it's coral reefs. Anyway,
Yeah.
They import sand. They have fake sandy beaches.
Did you scuba? Did you just go coral reefs your butt off?
Yeah, snorkeling. I'm a little freaked out by the deep water, so I haven't learned to
Snorkeling's
scuba.
so fun.
But snorkeling was fun. We did do that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a beautiful earth wherever you go with beautiful people in it. You know, that's the thing I confirmed. It is nice to confirm that, but sure enough, people are people everywhere you go. And the earth is gorgeous everywhere you go.
Yeah, it is.
In its own way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Staycation.
Hey, so I'm going to wrap this up. I noticed my numbers got red. I'm not sure even what that means, but maybe it also is a good time to wrap up.
Yeah,
so.
that's good.
Thank you.
I feel good. We chatted it up.
Hopefully we got some good, hopefully we have usable audio, but whether it did or didn't, I'd love to continue having conversations with you and you as well. I think there's lots of great stuff we could talk about. So
yeah.
Thank you.
All right, that wraps up my interview with Felicia Davis with some special input from Julian Wolf. It was a real pleasure to have this conversation, and I'm looking forward to future conversations around and about, especially the subject of a community artist center in Albuquerque. This relates to my own vision of building giant Unity playstations in the shapes of dragons, so we'll definitely be speaking more about this in the future. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Angel's Authentic Action Podcast. I do appreciate your attention, and I welcome your questions, comments, and suggestions. You can contact me anytime through any of the social media platforms and at www.angellily.com. That's ANGELLILLY, 4 L's. And you can find out more about the Authentic Action School at www.authenticactionschool.com. You can find Felicia Davis on Facebook and on Instagram, or you can contact her at www.feliciadavisconcepts.com. And you can also find out more about Julian Adams Wolf on Instagram and Facebook at www.facebook.com/professionaljulian. That's JULIAN. Again, I thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Ciao for now.